Okay. Must admit, I'm not entirely sure if I'm all ready for this. Ow. Just bit my lip, too. That was great. I'm a real,
Oh, yeah.
I'm a real professional.
The most awkward opening ever.
Well, this isn't really the opening. Well, I mean, it sort of is. It's the sort of fade in from black opening, isn't it? That I always put at the beginning
I
of the
mean,
show.
I'm popping pills, the cats are yowling, you're over here biting yourself. We're really setting up to have a very successful night. What? Take the little tiny dog with you, the somewhat larger brat. Okay. I'm sorry. Do you want to do the intro so that
That
we
was a,
can
that
get
was a,
this done?
that was a very compelling 6 minutes. I'll say that much.
uh,
Truly, the most entertaining entertainment we've ever had on this entertaining show.
I feel like
Assuming
99% of your outtakes are me doing mom stuff.
that's actually probably true. I would probably lower that to like 92%, but it's still above the 90. It's still above 90 there, so yeah.
I'll probably get interrupted again, but let's just do this. Do this.
Indeed. So, good evening, and welcome to Nerd Rage, episode 181. Finally have the numbers straight again.
And we remembered them.
Indeed. I guess it just took one episode to remember that sort of thing. I said talking to my mug like some sort of jackass.
I'm steeping my tea right now, so.
And I'm finishing it. Finishing mine. I'm finishing my tea, not yours. I'm not finishing your tea, I'm finishing mine. Because it's starting to cool down a bit, and I don't like that. No one likes cold tea unless it's meant to be chilled. But then it only works really if it's sweetened.
That is true. Cold tea is only good if it's sweet tea.
So anyway, oh hey, look, I see the
Yes,
very
just
familiar.
offending people right off the bat tonight.
Indeed, monster.
It's it's my mug that I got from Beauvoir when Ruth was down here with the Jefferson Davis quote. Yeah.
They're very offensive. I'm impressed. I'm impressed at how far you've gone in just a minute.
Right? It was planned. It was so planned.
You mentioned a clean mug, and we suddenly realized, oh, that was a terrible mistake.
It's clean, but it's stained. So stained.
It's stained with the blood of 100,000 innocent Negroes.
Oh my God.
Are totally getting demonetized for that.
Oh. Yeah, so, okay. I guess we've, let the triggering begin.
At least we're equal in this arrangement, right? Meanwhile, my mug here is just a East Stroudsburg University mug. Established in 1893. I almost said 1983.
Well, my water bottle, it's quite plain. Yeah, so however, this might trigger people in Michigan. You never know.
This is true. This is very true. It is a symbol of systemic oppression in Flint, after all.
Yes. I bought this clean, purified drinking water with my privilege. Thank you.
Man, if only the government had stepped in Flint.
I mean, we joke, but everything is offensive these days.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to be a victim, you really don't have to try very hard. You can definitely be a victim. with just a little imagination.
A little imagination, a few willing dupes to listen to you. So anyway, a very quippy intro aside. Honestly, I think we should just get right into The Walking Dead because I don't see any reason not to, because we have 3 episodes to catch up on, and it's going to dominate the conversation. So, to avoid the risk of it dragging into like an hour and a half show, let's start now and then see what time we have remaining after.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to wait until after our Walking Dead discussion to further offend anyone.
Oh gosh, I mean,
People wait is offensive. So there you go.
indeed, waiting lines are indeed a sign of a systemic oppression against Hispanic people. That's why they feel the need to cross the border illegally all the time, because they're trying to avoid that systemic oppression at the immigration lines.
Mm, you know. Okay, so Walking Dead.
So,
We
yes.
have to catch up on episodes 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
We discussed the first episode, which was kind of a low-key but well-paced first episode.
Yes, and-
It wasn't like the big sort of season opener the way that last season was.
Yes. It was clearly
but-
set up, though. That's the thing. It was clearly set up. Then again, I think that describes most of the season openers for The Walking Dead, actually.
Yeah.
2 introduced us to Herschel's farm. 3 introduced us to the prison. I don't remember what 4 was again. 5, what was 5 again?
Was 4 when they were all separated, scattered, and out on the road?
I don't know, because I don't remember when the governor blew up.
No. 4 was still the prison.
4 was still the prison, I'm pretty sure. But then the governor blew up the
It
prison.
was the prison with the Woodbury people.
Yeah.
It was Farmer Rick prison.
And the governor blew it up in the mid-season on that? I can't remember. Was that it? Or was it at the season closer? I feel like it was the mid-season, wasn't it, though?
I want to say it was the season closer. I want to say that didn't the season start with everyone? The next season start with everyone kind of separated.
That's what I'm tripping up on. I'm not sure which is the mid and which is the closer, because I'm trying to figure out.
Right. I think him coming there with Tara's group was the season ender, and then season 5 started, if I'm not mistaken, with Tyrese and the girls, because we were really wondering what happened to baby Judith that whole time.
I'm not sure, because that sounds wrong, ever so slightly wrong. Anyway, it's not important, because we're in season 7 at the moment.
You know what? It's season 5, episode 1. Okay, so season 5 opened, I want to say, at Terminus. That's what this is showing.
If it opened at Terminus, then it was the mid-season.
Yeah.
Because I seem to remember that one of the seasons had that huge... One of the mid-seasons had a huge event, and I'm pretty sure it was the governor destroying the prison.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I hate that mid-season break. I really hate that. It screws me up.
All right.
The first season didn't have that. But yeah, season 5 started with Terminus. Now I remember, because we thought that they would spend more time at Terminus, and it ended up just Carol blowing the whole place up.
Yeah, and it ended with Carol being completely awesome.
As she does. Okay, so episode 2 of this season was
Well,
kind of
actually,
like that.
wait.
What?
Before we go into that, I just want to get like a general impression what you thought of the last 3 episodes, because everything is really kind of tied together. The past, the first 4 episodes. So, what did you think of the first? But these 3 are a little more cohesive. What are your general impressions before we start getting to nitty gritty? Because I doubt we'll have the time to discuss everything. So,
Um,
let's at least get like a general impression and then start breaking it down.
I kind of felt like the second episode was that really strong opener. Like the music in that episode I thought was awesome.
Mhm.
Just the visuals, the camera angles, the sort of slow-mo going into the scene and different things like that, or ending the scene with the slow-mo.
Mm-hmm.
That I thought was really strong. It was really kind of the music especially, I think, made it feel more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of, that episode, I think, even though the first episode showed them starting the war, I think the second one is where you really, really sort of felt that, oh, it's on.
Mm-hmm.
The war has started and things are real now. Overall, because I'm trying to I've had them sort of categorized by episode in my mind to keep it straight. So I don't know. I felt like the first one set us up. The second one kind of gave us that punch. The third one, you start to see some of some conflict and division within the alliance that makes me think, even if they defeat the saviors, it's still not going to be a decisive victory.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course,
the last episode, I think, if anything, is going to show this wasn't a decisive victory.
Well, yeah, and then the last episode, that one to me kind of felt like where, faith gets tested.
Mm-hmm.
Like they went into this feeling like, this was the right path. This is the path they were supposed to take. This is what they're supposed to do. And in that, wasn't it in the second, or maybe it was in the third? It was in the third episode. Lots of, repeating, and yet I smile,
Mm-hmm.
And then the next episode, it's like not smiling anymore. No smile.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because it's actually really funny for a show about zombies. It's actually doing a really good job of, especially the last 3 episodes, of dissecting and kind of analyzing like the costs of war,
Mm-hmm.
the consequences and the effects of war, not just in terms of the raw military numbers, but in terms of the psychological effects of war and how the war affects other people. Because of course, episode 2 and 3 had the recurring plot beat about Gracie, right? The little baby in the satellite post with the satellite post, that Rick is attacking.
Was that right at the end of episode 2?
We see the crib in episode 2, and then Rick takes her with him and gives her to Aaron at the end of 3.
Well, in episode 2, right at the end, he sees the crib, he sees the baby, and then that's when Morales.
I think that's in a different room, though, so it's not quite at the end of the episode, but that's splitting hairs. It's towards the end of the episode, yeah.
Right, because it ended with Morales holding a gun on Rick.
Yep. Excuse me.
Which dick move, Morales.
Rouse is like, we must have come up here the same way. So you were tricked by a con artist telling us there was this cure in Washington? Too? It's like, so that happened to you too?
You know? Um, I was thinking with the last two episodes, the kingdom is probably the most established sort of group, but I think that they were so well established, they haven't had to really fight the way that these other groups have.
There's that, and there's also the fact that Ezekiel's also been extremely reluctant to send his people out ever since, a whole bunch of them got killed clearing a building.
Yeah.
The one that killed Benjamin's father.
Something like a dozen of them, I think.
Yeah, and it's like, that's why he's always been super reluctant to go fighting, and now he's been persuaded to, and his worst fear has been realized, frankly.
Mm-hmm. And that's where his sort of test of faith comes in, because, he inspired everyone to follow him. He inspired everyone to fight. He didn't have to beg. He didn't have to coerce. He didn't have to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
They went into battle willingly because they believed in him and in his vision. Because his vision up until that point had, really bought them a very peaceful corner of the world.
Right.
With the introduction of Rick's group and, the sort of violence visited on them by Negan, it was inevitable that the kingdom would not be able to escape sort of the ripple effect of that.
Right.
So one way or another, their lives were going to change. But I think because they have been fairly sheltered, they weren't really expecting quite such a drastic change. And I don't know. I mean, Ezekiel just seems like the kind of guy, if he can believe that things are going to go well, that they will go well.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of a hopeful optimism.
Admittedly, I don't think he could have quite predicted the disaster that befell his group. That befell his force.
Well, and there's no way to know that because they thought that the guns were in a different location.
Yeah, they thought those 50 cals were, at the place Rick was attacking. That's precisely where Rick was attacking it. That's
so
why...
they weren't exactly, expecting to get mowed down.
Mm-hmm. Admittedly, when I saw at the end of episode 3, the way they were all kind of milling about in the open, I'm like, oh, that's not going to end well. Like they I almost think they telegraphed that coming like a little too hard, because it's like, oh, they're completely exposed. That's not going to end well at all.
Yeah. Well, and see, I was thinking that too, just because I was like, there could be a sniper anywhere and they wouldn't even know where the shots were coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting, fully automatic rounds.
Not just fully automatic. 50 caliber rounds. I have to give them kudos for the makeup and the prosthetics and everything they used to depict the aftermath of that slaughter, just because that's what 50 caliber machine guns do. That's what Browning, and that's what it was. An M2 Browning, that's what they do. They rip people to shreds because they're so powerful.
Mm.
So I kind of have to give them kudos for depicting that with a fair bit of accuracy. With limbs blown off and these these giant holes in people. Because those guns are powerful enough, to destroy light armor. So But yeah,
But yeah, that's I was also kind of wondering like if they had more experience fighting, maybe they wouldn't have been milling about in the open
it
quite
might
so
have
freely.
helped. You
You
know,
know,
I mean, Carol
not
definitely had the right idea, to keep moving and to make sure things were clear.
hmm
Which is why she wasn't present when things went really bad.
right. And Jerry, whatever he was doing, I was so freaking happy to see him.
Oh yeah, I think we all were. When he's, I mean, honestly, when he split 90's throwback man in half, that was incredibly
Dude, that's
satisfying.
like a Dahmer throwback or something.
I know he looks like he looks like a sketch for like a serial killer from 1992.
Right?
I'm like, where did they find this guy? Where did they find those glasses?
That's what I was wondering. How did those glasses survive the apocalypse? Uh,
Maybe he was just desperate and he was rummaging through. It's like I can't see without my glasses. And then he got him and he's like, I can see now, and I feel like a badass. And no one had the heart, and no one had the heart to tell him that he's like, no,
yes.
you look like you're 20 years too late.
He went from dweeb to serial killer just like that.
But yes, I must admit I enjoyed that entire scene though. Not the splitting in half necessarily, but I enjoyed the entire scene though because, just because it looks like things are about to go completely bad, and suddenly you hear this scream in the distance. You're like, wait, what? And it's a war cry because it's Jerry.
Oh god. And see, I freaking love Jerry. He's
I
like
like.
this big Samoan dude that's, he's all chill and super cool.
Hmm.
But when he's in battle, like he's such a warrior.
Yep.
Freaking love Jerry.
Yes, I must admit I spent the entire episode looking around the field like I don't see Jerry anywhere. Is Jerry okay? They better not have killed Jerry. I
They
don't
had
see.
one big dude stand up, but his
Yeah,
back.
but he didn't look like Jerry though. He didn't really look like Jerry. He didn't have the right build.
I know, but I was like, I bet they're trying to make me think that's Jerry.
But I'm like, I think Jerry's still alive. And lo and behold, he was.
uh,
But yes,
and
anyway.
Carol, being the amazing badass that she is,
Hmm.
shooting the guys through the ceiling,
Outnumbered 8-1
you
wins.
know, one little old woman, and then she's taking them all out. And then, like, out in the yard where they're trying to load up and leave, and she keeps up a gunfight and then pretends to, like, she's gonna, like,
No,
she'll
wait,
sell
she was
out her
outnumbered
group
9-1. Sorry, 9-1.
uses the guy as a shield.
Well, because I bet that she actually like intentionally counted on the saviors shooting him to take her down. I bet she actually counted on that sort of callousness from them,
Yeah,
which was smart.
probably.
Which was very smart.
She just needed enough time to get to the button to open the gate
Yep.
so that the walkers could finish what she couldn't.
Um, but yeah,
She was
excuse me. But yes, anyway, getting back a little bit into the meta analysis. But yeah, the show's these last 3 episodes have done a very good job of showing the costs of war. Because obviously it's not an equal fight. Obviously, the Alliance is very much at a disadvantage against the Sabers, numerically, firepower-wise. In terms of their defensibility, their positions aren't exactly the most defensible.
yeah.
And it's really interesting. Of course, the first episode was only some of that impact. You see Alexandra's residents taking some casualties. During the attempt to get the machine guns. And of course that would culminate in the third episode.
hmm
What?
Right. But you see why it was so important to get those guns
Right.
in that one sort of, you know,
In fact, you
right
can.
at the end of that episode.
In fact, you can kind of see exactly why they attacked that facility the way they did. Because they were anticipating machine gun fire. They were, the way they kind of cordoned off that courtyard and, mostly took cover rather than try to press the attack. It's because they
Yeah.
expected that something was going to go very wrong. Or not go very wrong, but that was going to be much tougher than it actually was. And it was
Yeah.
tough already. As what is it? Eric, right? That's Aaron's SO husband,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call him, whatever you're comfortable with calling him. Um, as we saw in the third episode, though, the costs to take that were very high and ultimately kind of negated because the guns weren't there and ended up doing a lot more damage.
Mhm.
Oh yes, and I did point out, I think as you saw, the episode 3, for once, made me actually care about the gay guys.
I think my kids didn't really care about that dude.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, it's kind of sad. And my youngest hates Aaron, like, for some reason, just hates him. And she's like, I wish it was him.
Ouch. But no,
Yeah. For a while we couldn't remember his name. Eric. It was Eric. I just thought of him as the gay wife. Because he was the one that was always staying home and kind of like, nagging. Do you have to go out? Why are you going out? This is too dangerous. And then right there at the end, he joins in and it's like, kudos to him. And he's dead. You kind of just start to care about that character. Like, way to go, you.
oh
And
look, you took a bullet. You took a bullet to the gut. Oh, that's not a wound people recover from too often.
Right.
Well,
Wow.
that's gonna bleed a lot. That's not good.
But I want to say the larger story in that episode was it's going to sound kind of funny, but Jesus wanting to show mercy. And, Tara was at odds with him.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan was at odds with him. Morgan basically rage quit the war because
Yep.
he was like, I can't do this.
What's that?
It's my charter.
Morgan rage quit the war.
Yeah, so I gotta say, I was really mad at Jesus. I thought, this is not the time to get all soft-hearted and show mercy. You're in the middle of a flippin' war. You're in literally the middle of a battle of a war. And you want to sort of use resources to herd these people instead of just get on to the next, objective.
I don't know. For my part, I have mixed feelings in the matter. Just because obviously the whole intention of those 2 episodes was to show that, it's not like it's as cut and dry as we all think, because it's not. I understand the idea, of course, that taking prisoners is incredibly impractical. So incredibly impractical. The problem is that Jesus isn't wrong. and that's what kind of makes it a kind of a difficult. It feels it's a lot. It's at least for me, it's a lot more difficult to kind of process in that way. It's because he isn't wrong. I mean, it's not like you're just going to murder people who've surrendered, for instance. Maybe the zombie apocalypse, but
But the dude that pretended to piss himself and then tried to kill them, yeah, he deserved a bullet.
oh yeah,
The guy that was constantly trying to like beat people up when they would go collect stuff from the kingdom, he deserved a bullet. Like tie everybody else up and put them in a box car or something. But you don't need to be tromping through the meadow with them, you know, while you're fighting a war. I don't know.
yeah.
I didn't really like that Maggie let freaking Gregory, the politician. He's such a politician. Can't stand him.
Admittedly, that entire scene was hilarious. I didn't eat that girl's pancakes. Flips him off. That entire scene was delightful. Like it was a what?
He's such a whiner.
Oh yeah. But that scene was a nice break though from the it was a nice break from the heavy war stuff. But yeah, also though, Jesus, having the prisoner train though, should also be juxtaposed against Rick and Daryl's interactions actually, because Daryl of course kills Morales, and then at the end of the episode, also kills the guy that Rick said you can leave if you tell us what we need to know, which he did.
Right.
And
well, I mean,
that kind
Rick gave his word. Daryl never gave his.
Yeah, but at the same time,
I think he wasn't breaking a promise there for himself.
He wasn't breaking a promise for himself, but there most certainly is it's really it's like towing the line, with decency and
He really
why Daryl did it in no small part because he is Daryl, but
well, and two, okay, so when they were clearing that building, he saw the cell and he knew that those people did the same thing to him that the Saviors did, back at Sanctuary. So in his mind, none of them were innocent. If they could treat a human being like an animal like that, then he wasn't going to let them off. And I kind of feel like, I don't know if Daryl's story arc is coming to a close because he is so brutal now. He kind of I don't know, he kind of became like Carol, where it was just sort of very efficient brutality, just doing what needed to be done without questioning himself. I can't really blame him for shooting Morales because
no, and definitely can't do that. I mean, I understand Rick. I know Rick's trying to persuade Morales to
right,
at
but he's
least
got a
stand
gun to
down.
Rick's head, and Daryl's not going to let him just turn around and shoot him.
But the guy at the end of the episode, though, there is much more of a moral gray area in there.
Right. That one probably, I mean, he was on his own. If he gave up his weapons, he's, Yeah,
he's on his own. He's clearly afraid, clearly unarmed. Not like the other guy, who got way too close and, and then grabbed Jesus like he did. That's definitely a different scenario.
That guy, I was kind of upset with Jesus right there. I was, as much as I disliked Tara as a character, I was totally on her side. That dude needs to die. What are you doing? This is not the time for this.
I have to admit, though, because, again, like I said, I think they're doing a very good job treating with this. Because, of course, it's the consequences of war again. Because you have a bunch of people now. Because you have, kind of two disparate kinds of people. Where, you see Rick, where Rick is, he sees this little baby Gracie. and he's like, maybe I should be a little more merciful. But, there's so many people who've been so badly affected by the Saviors. Tara, Daryl. My brain is completely firing. Who else am I thinking of?
Well, Morgan.
Morgan. That's Morgan.
That's why the boy died.
Yeah.
He's wearing his armor into war, and, for him, it was about avenging that death.
It's about vengeance. That's what that's what I'm going for. It's about vengeance for them, and probably for some other, for some others too. And it's also interesting to see how this will play with regards to Aaron and Ezekiel, or say Jerry. I'm not sure how far they're going to go with Jerry's character.
I think Jerry and Carol are. Their task at this point is going to be, to bring Ezekiel back.
Yeah.
To make him the king again, because he doesn't believe in himself.
Yeah, he's been completely demoralized.
You can't have an entire community that's leaderless in the middle of war.
Right. The day was won, but it was definitely demoralizing, for...
Essentially all of his people that he took with him died.
Mm-hmm.
And Shiva...
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that, he had told Kara that, Shiva was all he had left. Yep. And my kids were like, I quit the show. Shiva died, I quit.
At least it saved money on the CGI budget.
I know, it's just, and
admittedly it was better
happened. I know that it happened in the comic books in very similar way. So I kind of knew that it was coming.
You kind of expected it?
Yeah. I was like secretly hoping that it would be much, much later. Like we don't need CGI in every episode. Just let Ziva be kind of off doing her own thing. But yeah. They were just, at that point, they were over it. They were like, no, this is too sad. Because that whole episode was so sad for them.
Oh, yeah.
And the zombie woman who had been shot up reached up, and you see the little flowers that her kid gave her, and, they're like, oh, this is so sad. This is so sad. And then Shiva dies, and they're like, nope, I'm over it. I quit. I'm leaving. I can't watch any more of this.
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult one to kind of parse.
I want to say that episode for Ezekiel was the season opener for Rick, where Abraham and Glenn got sealed. That broke him. And, you could see Carol softening. Yeah. Like, she's no longer like that hard-ass soldier. She's now kind of a mother again. Like, she sees someone who's broken that needs her, and you can see it on her face. Like, she's gonna help him. Mm-hmm. That's her mission now. So, I don't know. It's so much is happening. I wonder what the heck, like, where Morgan is, because,
he'll crop up again.
Yeah, he's not in a good headspace, though.
Oh yeah, he's definitely unstable. Like, he's definitely gone unstable.
Yeah,
given the way he fought Jesus. And that entire fight, I gotta be honest, that fight had me a bit on the edge of my seat, because we've seen Morgan impale a man with his staff before, so it's like, this fight's very dangerous.
Yeah, you've got like your your two ninja masters going at each other. And Morgan clearly ready to do some violence.
Understatement of the year.
But in the comics, though, Morgan's character was off the rails. He was really crazy. So
right.
I kind of feel like he's veering more towards that, where he's just going to be kind of, unpredictable for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do see the wisdom in what Jesus did, as far as, I mean, the whole the whole reason that you're going to war is because the saviors haven't shown mercy. You know, um, every time that they introduce themselves to a group, they kill someone
Right.
in cold blood. Now, to keep other people from feeling that same sort of vengeance and, like, well, these people aren't any different. You kind of have to deal with them differently. But at the same time, you can't just treat everyone like they're redeemable, I
Mm-hmm.
guess is the word. Because that one guy that, is he the guy that killed the kid, or he was just the biggest ass at those.
Oh, you talk about the guy that, yeah, he was the one.
Okay,
He was the one.
yeah. That is
Mhm.
not the kind of person that you just, you know, make peace with afterwards. He's the kind of person that's a move that's going to come back and bite you in the butt.
Like, as you may recall, even like when Benjamin was killed, even Gavin was like, "Dude, I didn't want you to go that far." And that's
Hmm.
I'm not saying necessarily Gavin's like a compassionate, merciful sort of guy. What I'm saying though is that he's like, okay, dude, you've gone a bridge too far in my book. We're
Yeah.
being assholes, but come on.
uh, yeah, that's the kind of guy that, that's like letting the wolves go. And
Hmm.
then they attacked Rick, those kind of people, you don't live peaceably with them ever. They're either going to be the bully, or you're going to have to kill them.
Admittedly, with the Wolves, I think that was partially just like a sort of a misjudgment in that regard. Like I think like they didn't realize like how dangerous the Wolves actually would end up being. And in fact, I think maybe like the Wolves served as a bit of like a warm up for what the Saviors would be. What the Saviors
I
would
don't
end up
know.
being like it put them in a slightly better headspace to cope with the Saviors and what the Saviors would eventually bring. I guess what I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, they knew that the wolves were bad news, though.
They knew
I
they were
don't,
bad news, but
I don't think that there was any ambiguity about whether or not they would be back. They knew they would be back. Morgan had dealt with them before. He recognized some of them,
hmm
and Rick recognized the kind of person that was, and his group did too.
this is true.
Because they had dealt with that group that that had their own weird code. Like, they were fine with raping women and kids, but don't steal my stuff. And the people from Terminus that tried to eat them and then stalked them and tried to eat them again. So they kind of already knew.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
But yeah, that guy definitely should have, I'd be like, all right, Morgan, you want one? Take him. Just go do your thing, work it out, get it out of your system, you know. Uh,
So there's definitely interesting stuff coming down the pipe, though, because it's like there's like a clear like delineation in the morality between people within the protagonists, and that's going to definitely like create like a that's definitely create some interesting conflict.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, you've got Maggie square in the middle of it because you got Tara on one side and Jesus on the other side, and they're at odds, and
yeah.
she's have to,
And
sort of.
Maggie's clearly probably not gonna be the sort of person who's like, well, neither you're wrong, because she clearly is like, it's like clearly she's gonna want revenge because her husband died. And on the other hand, though, she's trying to be a good leader.
Hmm.
She's learning to be a good leader.
Yeah, but she's got to put up with that little weasel, that stupid political weasel who they let back in.
My honest hope is that they don't do anything else serious with him and they just use him as comic relief for the rest of the series.
I
You
don't
know,
know. I kind of.
because I feel like that'd just be the best way to deal with it, since she let him back in.
I like I like what happens to him in
Hmm.
the comics. um,
Sounds like he gets his just desserts based on that.
uh, I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna have some sort of, like, if they're gonna try to institute a sort of trial or something for all of these prisoners now.
I would just create a gulag,
But
make him into itinerant laborers. See how you like it.
oh,
Anyway, so have we talked the episodes out now?
I don't know. I
Excuse me.
love the part where Carol hears Daryl's motorcycle and kind of gets a smile on her face
Yeah,
and
she
says
hears.
that they're not going to get the guns to the sanctuary.
Yeah, that chase, I really enjoyed that too.
That was great.
Yep, that was a very well crafted scene. It's like after the heaviness of the past 2 episodes, the past 3 episodes, it's like, okay, that whole chase scene was very sad. It was a very satisfying way to sort of do that. Because it wasn't dragging it down. It was like, this is just pure unadulterated. Something good happened.
I kind of feel like the next episode is going to deal with Negan because since episode 1, he and his men and, and Father Gabriel have all been locked in,
Hmm.
you know.
Bear in
Um,
mind, it's only been what? It's only been like, it hasn't been that long. Like, these past 4 episodes have only covered a really short period of time.
has it been more than a day?
I don't want to say it has been,
I
because
want to
they
say it's been a day.
because it can't be longer though, because they would have, as soon as they after they attacked the sanctuary, they would have moved to strike the satellites as quickly as possible to keep them from reinforcing the sanctuary.
Yeah. And I don't recall there ever being like, a nightfall, dusk, dawn, anything like that. I
Right.
think it's still within the same day. Um, so, you know, I do wonder what's happening back in Alexandria. Um,
Yes, because of course we did theorize that maybe Negan had something under his belt too.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
it's clear nothing's happened to the hilltop or to the kingdom,
right.
but we have not seen
But
Alexandria
since
at all.
Rick is leading all of this, that's where the hammer would fall.
Right.
Um, and you do have that old Rick moment.
Right. There's that first. That is those weird juxtapositions in the first episode that have to be addressed. But we shall see.
uh, but yeah, I think, it's probably going to deal with Negan and his men and, how they get out of that.
If
Um,
they get out of that. I mean, it seems like they would, just from like a sort of a narrative storytelling perspective. If they didn't get out of there, it'd be kind of weird because it'd be, the plot wouldn't move forward,
mhm.
but it's like at the same time, it's like it's still a question if as far as we know right now.
Right.
And of course, what happens to Father Gabriel?
You know, if I were Negan, I'd be looking at that dude as bait right about now.
Mm-hmm.
But he does have another group out there doing something nefarious. Um, he might just, sit pretty for a while and let them do what they do until they come back.
But yeah, for all intents and purposes, though, I think at the end of this, like, the saviors will be greatly diminished. I think it's pretty clear. Like,
Hmm.
the war will, like, whatever happens, by the mid-season probably, it's like, it's good. The war's going to continue, but it's definitely going to be a more equal affair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can bet you
Do
that's
you
what's.
think that Dwayne's information about the guns was deliberately false, or like, do you think that he knew the guns had been moved?
I don't know. Because there's two implications. If he did know they were moved, who knows what the game he was playing then. But if he
Mhm.
didn't know they were moved, then I think Negan might have a strong suspicion as to who the mole is, because I think
Yeah.
he's already because I'm sure he's already aware he has a mole somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
Because the
And well, he's got Eugene in there too. So,
Mhm.
he might play any, mini, miny, mo trying to find the mole. But I definitely think, Negan's got some stuff going on that, and after what, 4 episodes, it might be time to revisit that group.
Indeed.